Got another Jeep with an evap leak, and nope, it's not the gas cap. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. Got a 2010 Jeep Wrangler that just got dropped off with a pretty bad evap leak, and the customer says that they can't figure it out, and they've had it to another shop, and he said that the shop ran all kinds of tests on it, including a smoke test, and they cannot find this evap leak or fix this problem. And unfortunately, the customer cannot get this vehicle smogged here in California until they get that fixed. We'll go get plugged into it here in a minute with the Innova 5610 and see if we can figure out exactly what codes are showing up and see if we can't figure this out. Now, they've already changed the gas cap, which is really the first thing you want to do when you get an evap leak. Now, what you want to do is take off the gas cap and inspect, make sure that there's no damage, and also make sure that that seal is good. And this looks new. Looks like they have just recently replaced it. You can also tell this piece right here is new. Just make sure that that goes on nice and snug. And that does feel good. So let's move on. On a Jeep, there's also several other things that you're going to want to check, but let's go ahead and get the scan tool plugged in, find out what codes are showing up, and see if that'll give us a little bit of direction. And then we can do a quick little visual inspection on everything and go from there. Got the Innova 5610 here. I'm going to get that plugged in. Let's turn the key on, and there you go. We've got a P0456 stored evap system small leak. Let's scroll down. Pending P0455 and pending P0456. So we have permanent and stored P0456 and P0455. So both are evap system leaks, small leak and large leak. Let's take a look at the freeze frame data. So we had closed loop, fuel. So this looks like it probably happened right at startup because this is 88 degrees Fahrenheit and engine RPMs 1339. Vehicle speed 0. It looks like this wasn't even moving when that code tripped or when that code set. Intake air temperature 82 degrees, throttle position 19.2, runtime 9 seconds. So that's good to know. All right, let's hit back out of here. We know we've got an issue here with the evap system. That's really what we needed to know just to at least get started. We know it's not the gas cap. We've ruled that out. Let's go ahead and hook up my homemade smoke machine, see if we can't figure out what's causing those leaks and see if we can't get that fixed, and then we'll come back and we'll erase the codes and try to complete that drive cycle to confirm the repair. On this Jeep, there's a lot of things that are pretty common when it comes to the evap system and the evap leaks. And number one that is very common is the gas cap. And like I said, the owner's already changed that out, so we know that we should be good there. Now, the second thing that you're going to want to check is down underneath this guy right here on the end of the charcoal canister. This thing, I don't know what it's called, this little valve right here. I'll put the name of it in the video for you, but I'm told that these, a lot of times there's an O-ring inside that will go bad and it will leak. And so what we'll do is we'll pressurize the system and put some smoke in it and see if we see any smoke coming out of here. And the other one is on top of the tank. You see this right here? It's pretty common that this little white piece right here will break off or crack. And it looks like it's got like that line right there. I wonder if that's a crack. That might be our issue, or one of our issues. We're gonna have to run a smoke test on this and see if we get any smoke coming out of there. That looks like we might have something going on right there. It's probably easier for you to see on camera. I'm just kind of wiggling that a little bit. We might have to put some epoxy or something on that, because this, apparently you have to change the entire gas tank. You can't just change that part. Now, the other thing you want to do is just pop the hood and take a look at all of the evap lines here. This is your purge valve right here, and this has got one line right here on the top. Just need to make sure that there are no cracks in that. There's like a little flexible hose where that goes into the intake, comes around into this valve. Basically that's coming from the valve, and this has a little inlet on the bottom from the tank. Let me see if I can pull that off real quick. There it is right there. It just kind of slides onto this little holder, and then we can disconnect it right here at the bottom just by pushing these guys in and then slide this off. There we go. So we can hook up our smoke machine to either side, blow this direction to go back to the tank, and then this way to come through these lines and see if we have any issues. Now here, I just want to show you something. This line right here, and just as I picked it up, I could feel right here on the back, it feels like there's a crack or it's rubbed through. No, this hose is kind of in the way, but you see right there, it looks like there's a crack right there. I haven't even put smoke on this yet, and I think I may have found a leak or found an issue. We're still going to hook this up to the smoke machine just to make sure that we can show that and show you how you might be able to find something like this. But I think that might be at least one of our issues. And I want you to see my smoke machine here. This is a pickle jar with a soldering iron, epoxied or silicone into the lid, and then I have a pen, an actual Bic pen that I split in half, and I pushed through the lid there, just drilled holes, and I have a couple hoses that are just epoxied on there. And all I did was put a little sock with some mineral oil inside there, and then all we need to do is plug it in, and that will generate some smoke for us. All right, now while we let that warm up, I know this seems really stupid and ghetto, but it works. You know, you could buy a smoke machine on Amazon. Some of them are only around 100 bucks. This was really $5 for a soldering iron, $1 for the epoxy, and I already had some hose and the pickle jar lying around. So now you could also use a cigar or a vape pen or whatever you want. You just need to be able to blow some smoke under pressure into the evap system. Usually that's enough to help you find a leak. Okay, so what I need to do is blow smoke into this connector here. So I need something so that I can make that transition from here into there, because otherwise that's not going to seal like that. You can see that's not going to seal, that's not going to work. So let me see if I can find a tube that's the same diameter. All right, so here I just found a little piece of vacuum hose. This is really small stuff, but it looks like it's going to work. Just have to push it in here and put this on this end here. That looks like it's snug enough. We should be able to see smoke coming out here if that is indeed the crack or a leak. No, that's not quite working. We're leaking right here. And push that in a little bit tighter. Okay, I think that'll work now. Okay, that is more snug. Let's try that one more time. All right, well, it does not seem to be leaking. I was wrong. It's definitely been rubbing right there, and it's got a little indentation, but it looks like it's not completely through. I'll put something around that to protect it, but we got to keep going here until we can find that leak. So let's keep going. All right, well, I've got my helper. Okay, go ahead and blow. Oh, look at that. We've got smoke. Go again. There it is right there. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I can see it. There's definitely smoke coming out of there. That right there is cracked, right there. So I've just got a little pick right here, and I'm trying to get behind this little plastic hook. Oops. That just snapped right off. That shows you right there. You can see the color of the plastic. So you can see where it's dark, it's already been cracked right there. See how it's cracked? And then right here where it's clean, that's where it just snapped off in my hand because it's already half broken. So what we need to do is figure out a way to epoxy this back on, and that will fix our problem. So this little plastic piece right here, you just have to push that in, and then we're able to pull out the broken off piece. We'll see what I've got and see what we come up with for a fix, and then we'll get this back together and confirm the repair. I cleaned this up a little bit, got this little sanding pad from one of those headlight repair kits, and just made sure that this was all cleaned up. And sure enough, I started searching around on YouTube, and there's videos of this exact same problem and this exact same repair. But what a lot of people did is they used a little roll pin and shoved it in there to give it strength. On some videos, they drilled out this center part, and other videos they didn't. They just found a roll pin that would fit, and they kind of just crushed it in there. This roll pin right here, it's a 5/32 roll pin. I did not have to drill out the plastic. I'll put a little bit of epoxy on the inside, but I'm a little concerned because I don't want to plug this up so that it's not, you know, so that it can't flow. So we'll just put a little bit on the joint there, push it together, and then maybe kind of wrap it with epoxy. Just finished up with this 5-minute epoxy on this. Let me show you how it turned out. So I just did some 5-minute epoxy, which dripped down a little bit, and then I ended up using the epoxy putty on the outside. Hopefully that'll be strong enough now to hold that in place. That looks like it got it. Let's go ahead and do that smoke test one more time and verify that there's no more leak coming out of there. All right, I'm recording this with my phone too so I can see. So I'm gonna go blow on that, see if we get any smoke. All right, I'm blowing right now. All right, I just watched the footage. I also watched some footage of my phone, and it looks like it is not leaking at all. No smoke at all coming out of here. So that's great. Let's go back up top, put it back together, and we'll clear those codes. All right, now we can take this hose off and put this back together. But remember, this side over here really scratched up. So I'm just gonna put some tape around that. And it didn't scratch all the way through, so it's not leaking. This will just protect that from any more wear. It must be rubbing on the battery or something. But it sounds like this is also a pretty common area to have a leak. But since it didn't wear through, there's really no repair other than just kind of making that nice and protected against any future rubbing or anything like that. And we can put away our smoke machine here. I mean, check out how much smoke this thing puts out. That thing works amazing. All right, let's plug in the Innova again. So here's our stored codes, and now we're going to erase them. So we want to erase all DTCs. Erase was successful. Now it's rescanning. Okay, now it has a permanent code here. Now permanent codes are a little bit different. You can't always erase them. Sometimes you can do a battery disconnect. What we might need to do is several startups and several warm-ups until this goes away. I think every vehicle is a little bit different, but I think there's so many trips of detection that you need to do in order to get rid of that. The cool thing about this tool is it tells us the drive cycle that we need to do. So let's go down here. I need to find out where it is here. Drive cycle procedures. So you hit menu and then scroll down to drive cycle procedures. Hit enter. Is this the vehicle? Yep. So let's go down to the Evap. All right, so we need to start the engine cold, permit the engine temperature to warm up past 180 before initiating the test sequence. So vehicle needs to accelerate between 25 and 50 miles an hour, and the throttle remains steady for 3 minutes. Pretty cool that this tells us exactly what we need to do for that drive cycle or for that drive cycle procedure. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and start it up, and we're gonna let it warm up until it gets to 180, and then we'll go for a test drive, and hopefully we can keep that throttle steady for about 3 minutes and complete that drive cycle. I don't know if that will eliminate that permanent code right away. We might have to do that several times, depends on the vehicle. So I don't know how to exactly to get rid of the permanent code other than continue to drive. Let's see if we can pull up the live data. So the engine coolant temperature here is at 147. We're gonna let that warm up to 180 and then we'll go for a drive. Okay, so we're at 180, 181, 183. So we should be good to go for a little drive now. All right, now the test drive that I did not clear the Evap code. I followed the drive cycle as it mentioned in here to do the warm up until it was 180 degrees, and then we drove around. I drove around for about a half an hour, tried to keep the throttle steady while driving between 25 and 50. Didn't clear that Evap code. In the interest of time, to not have to go through the permanent code cycle, which I think is 4 or 5 or 6 warm up cycles or drive cycles complete until that permanent code goes away, I just went ahead and disconnected the battery, and that seemed to do the trick. So I've disconnected the battery, waited about 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and check the OBD, basically scan this. And right now, so the IM monitors are not complete, which is what I expected, but now we have no powertrain DTCs or freeze frame data. That means we do not have that permanent code anymore, which is great. But it looks like right now we're good. So I'm gonna go on a test drive, try to complete that drive cycle again. For right now, I'd really love if we could at least get the Evap to complete. So let's go back to live data. I've been sitting in here with the car running after it cooled down, trying to get this to warm back up. And so now it is. So we're up to 194. So now let's go for a drive. I'll try to keep that throttle in the same spot and try to do the between 25 and 50. If I can't, again, I'll just give this back to the customer and then we'll follow up with them and make sure that they don't have any check engine lights. But if we are able to complete the Evap, I'll feel a lot better knowing that this is done. Well, I decided to plug this in while we're on the road here, and we're gonna do a quick scan and just see where we're at. Don't worry, I'm keeping my eyes on the road. And there it is. So the Evap monitor, you can see, is green. So we still have a few to do, the oxygen sensors, catalytic converter, and the heated oxygen sensor. But that is awesome. Evap has passed, and that's good to go. I'm gonna head back, and I'm not worried about those other things completing because they were complete before I cleared this code. So that is the one that I was the most concerned about. And it is passed, and it still says no DTCs are stored. But this is good. This is repair confirmed. So let's head back and wrap this up. Back from the test drive, I decided to scan it one more time. And there we go. Now we only have one incomplete monitor, which is the oxygen sensor. I'll just let the customer know that they'll need to drive it around a little bit longer until that monitor turns off, and then they should be good to go on their smog test. This is good to go. We're gonna call this one fixed. I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I'll get a link in the description where you can pick up this exact same scan tool as well, along with some of the little parts and tools that I use to do this repair. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.